Spooky season is finally upon us, so today I thought I would take a break from the usual open world RPG related discussions we have around here and go over my personal list of 5 horror games you absolutely need to play this October. Now these aren't going to necessarily be unknown games. I'm sure that you would have heard of most of them, if not all of them, but my goal here today is to remind you that these games exist and hopefully introduce you to some that you have never played. This video is going from least to best, so make sure you stick around for my number 1 pick. Anyway, with that said, let's get straight into it. For obvious reasons, I could not do this list without mentioning one of the most popular horror games out there, Dead by Daylight. Now, I'll be honest, it's been about a year since I touched Dead by Daylight, but it is still a great game for you to jump into nonetheless. In simple terms, Dead by Daylight is a simple yet thrilling game. 4 survivors are dropped into a small map where they must fix a generator to open a gate and escape said map, while the 5th player plays as the killer whose aim is to, well, kill you. One of the best things about Dead by Daylight is the amount of slashers it has to play. Everyone from Michael Myers to my personal favourite slasher of all time, Ghostface. The thrill of being chased around a map while trying to escape is never boring. It's even more fun when you get to play as one of these slashers, in my opinion, so Dead by Daylight is definitely a game worth checking out. Now, Outlast, in my opinion, is one of the best horror games ever made. Despite being fairly disappointed in the second game in the franchise, I still love and adore Outlast 1. A somewhat old game now, but it still massively holds up. You play as an investigator who enters a seamlessly abandoned / overrun mental asylum. Your goal is to investigate the massive building, find collectibles, and run away from the patients who aren't exactly friendly. I am putting this in the simplest of terms. There is obviously a lot more to do than that, but I don't want to go over too many spoilers in case some of you guys haven't played it. Again, a fairly old game that still massively holds up. Filled with plenty of jump scares, creepy moments, and horror aspects, Outlast 1 is definitely a game you need to play this October. Again, one of my favourites is Alien Isolation. Without going into any spoilers again, your main goal in Alien Isolation is to find out what happened to your mother. Just like the original Alien movie, everything is fine until it isn't. Aliens basically attack your ship and you need to find a way to stop them and get out. The game really goes from 0 to 100 real quick, basically throwing you in out of nowhere. There really isn't much else to say about this one. You're on a ship and you have to hide from Alien. It's as simple as it sounds, but it is another great, fantastic game. Until Dawn is yet again a fairly old game that still massively holds up. Being a PlayStation exclusive, this game won't be for everyone, but Until Dawn is still to this day one of my favourite story-focused games of all time. Not just one of my favourite horror games, one of my favourite games of all time. In short, you play as literally every single character, and you travel up to a secluded cabin in some mountains where one of your old friends previously died. Already setting an uneasy and tension-filled story, it gets all the more panicky when more of your friends begin to die. As you play as every character, your goal is to keep everyone alive, or your goal can be to kill everyone. It's really up to you. The game has plenty of different choices and endings, so you can replay this game a good number of times, trying to uncover who or what is killing you and your friends, discovering every character's darkest secrets, picking your own fears which then get added into the game, starting to feel uneasy around the ones you once trusted. All things like this Until Dawn does perfectly. Not necessarily a very scary game, but definitely creepy and a beautifully told story nonetheless. And finally, at my number 1 spot, we have Friday the 13th. If you know anything about me, you know I absolutely love and adore slasher movies, with the original Scream being my favourite. Friday the 13th parts 1 to 3 come really close behind that. When this game dropped, I would play it for hours and hours every day. The only reason I stopped is because the development stopped. If you know the story behind this, it's actually really heartbreaking, to say the least. In Friday the 13th, you and up to 10 friends or other online players are thrown into a campsite of your choosing. You pick from basically any camp from any of the movies, while also choosing which character you want to play, and they're all the basic normal 80s slasher movie characters, like the jock, the nerd, the stoner, the whore, the final girl. You get the idea. So you are thrown into a camp and your goal is to escape through one of the many possible ways there are to do so, as one of the players playing as any Jason of their choosing hunts you down using his special abilities. Admittedly, this game is just like Dead by Daylight, but 100 times better in my opinion. The absolute rush of being chased by Jason as you're escaping in the car, knowing he could stop you at literally any second, driving past other survivors because you're too scared to stop and pick them up in case Jason grabs you, really just sets the entire tone for this game. 17-year-old me easily put thousands upon thousands of hours into this game when it first dropped, and I truly cannot recommend it enough, especially around this time of year when the game has more players and you're finding matches quicker than you normally would. Friday the 13th is easily one of my favourite games, or at least one of the games I have had the most fun playing in my entire life. There aren't a lot of games I have over 3,000 hours in, and Friday the 13th is one of them. But anyway guys, that will do it for the list. I hope you found at least one game you want to spend this Halloween playing. If you enjoyed the video, please do drop it a like. It really helps out smaller channels like myself more than you can imagine. And as I said at the start of this video, we mostly cover open world RPGs here, such as Fallout and Elder Scrolls, so if that's your kind of thing, consider subscribing. You'd help out a bunch and I'd really appreciate the support. Anyway, with that said, thank you all so much for watching and I really hope to see you in the next one.